Okay, so let's level set here. Pittsburgh is one of the most affordable places to buy a home in the entire country. Doesn't matter your budget, whether you're above $1 million or whether you're below $200,000, buying a home in the Pittsburgh metro area is an affordable decision compared to most areas in the country. However, that doesn't mean there aren't areas where you might not be getting the value you think you're getting. So in this video, I'm going to identify 4 neighborhoods and offer some alternatives where you might find a better fit, particularly as it relates to your budget. My name is Mark McClinchie, and I'm a real estate agent here in the Pittsburgh area. I help people relocating to Pittsburgh every single week. And if you are interested, please reach out and set up a consult and identify the neighborhoods that'll be the best fit for you. Let's get right into our first area, the neighborhood of Shadyside. So Shadyside is definitely one of the most popular and prestigious neighborhoods in the city of Pittsburgh. It's definitely one of the most well-known, partially because of the popular business district on Walnut Street. You have great restaurants and cafes, shops, very popular destination, but definitely an even more popular place to live. Shadyside has historic homes with tree-lined streets. It's very walkable. It's very flat for Pittsburgh, especially, and it's so close to everything, close to the hospitals, close to the universities, and it is the heart of the East End. But it comes with a price tag, and Shadyside is probably the most expensive zip code in the city of Pittsburgh. So if you want the Shadyside feel, but you don't want the Shadyside price tag, here's some alternatives to consider. I'm recommending a little bit further east in the East End, go to Regent Square. Regent Square is made up of the Regent Square neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh, as well as parts of Swissvale, parts of Edgewood, and parts of Wilkinsburg. So Regent Square has a similar vibe, tree-lined streets, beautiful, historic, charming homes, and it also has a nice business district right there on Braddock Avenue. In Regent Square, you still have easy access, including public transportation, to get to the universities and hospitals. Commute to downtown isn't too bad either. And of course, the crown jewel of the Regent Square area is Frick Park, which offers plenty of recreational opportunities, has tennis courts, ball fields, playground, very popular area of Regent Square. The price tag in Regent Square is going to be much, much lower than Shadyside. So let me tell you a story about my recent clients that moved from California. So they, of course, had California prices in mind, and they really wanted Shadyside. And so they were trying to keep their budget under $1 million. But as we toured homes in Shadyside, we noticed very few of them were move-in ready, at least to the degree that they were looking for. A lot of these homes still needed work. They had issues with old slate roofs. They had issues with boilers. Some of them did not have central air conditioning. Some of the kitchens were really small or needed renovated. So even homes in the 7s, 8s, and 9s in the Shadyside area were not meeting their needs. So I recommended to my clients that we expand the search, and we moved to Regent Square. And we started looking at homes in there. It wasn't long before they found their dream home in Edgewood. So Edgewood is a cute little neighborhood, similar charming area with historic homes and tree-lined streets. And they found a fully renovated from head to toe home where they have a luxury master bath, they have a high-end luxury kitchen, and it meets every single one of their needs, and it was under budget. So if you're looking for an alternative to Shadyside, consider the Regent Square area, or more specifically, Edgewood. So now let's talk about another city of Pittsburgh neighborhood that could have some value challenges for people, the neighborhood of Lawrenceville. So Pittsburgh doesn't have a ton of trendy and hip places to live, which is why, honestly, it makes Pittsburgh such a great place to live. However, we do have one trendy area, super popular. It's the neighborhood of Lawrenceville. Lawrenceville has been the it neighborhood for the past decade or so, and tons of people have been moving in there, rightfully so. There's plenty to do. You've got tons of shops and restaurants and nightlife on Butler Street, and it's about 15, 20 block area with lots of row homes and lots of young people, and it's very vibrant. And Lawrenceville has definitely become one of the most popular places to live. And of course, as popularity rises, those price tags have come up dramatically. But Lawrenceville has attracted a lot of investors, and many of them do great work. But unfortunately, I've seen a lot of homes in the Lawrenceville area that just are not high quality. So one of the things you're getting in Lawrenceville with a high price tag is not always a high quality home. You're already having to sacrifice limited parking situations, limited yards in just tight areas. So if you're looking for alternatives to Lawrenceville, a couple neighborhoods I want you to check out. One is Bloomfield. Bloomfield is known as Little Italy. Great place with tons of history. There's a vibrant business district there with great restaurants and cafes and shops. Similar architecture, but I've just seen a lot of well-maintained properties amenities there. And you're right, just south of the Lawrenceville area, you're actually more in the heart of the East End with Bloomfield, and definitely does not have the price tags that you'll see in Lawrenceville. So Bloomfield is something to check out. Another neighborhood, if you go over to the north side, right across the river, one neighborhood is Manchester, and Manchester has a lot of historic homes, also some row homes in there, Victorian architecture, a lot of great restoration going on in the neighborhood of Manchester. So that is definitely one to keep in mind. But the neighborhood I want to talk about the most, the Mexican War Streets, also known as Central North Side. But the Mexican War Streets are a nice alternative to Lawrenceville, not necessarily because you're going to save money, which I know is the point of this video, but you're going to get much higher quality. I think the price points are probably pretty similar in the Mexican War Streets versus Lawrenceville, but in my experience, Mexican War Streets offers so much more high quality. It's got a great little vibe. Now, it doesn't have the business district on Butler Street that Lawrenceville has, but there are some shops over on Federal Street and over on Western Avenue. You will see some restaurants and cafes. But you're so close to all the action down on the North Shore, the stadiums, PNC Park, Acrisure Stadium. But Mexican War Streets is a great little vibe. But as I walk through there, I want to tell a story about recent clients that had their hearts set on moving to Lawrenceville. They love the vibe, they like the vibrancy, and really wanted to find a home. And we looked all over until we did find a home that seemed like a great fit, but we actually went under agreement on that home. And when we did inspections, it was a nightmare. There were so many issues on this home, and as we thought about the negotiation process and trying to figure out a path forward, it just wasn't possible. There were too many issues. So we ended up terminating from that agreement. And then I suggested we look at other places that maybe Lawrenceville wasn't the right spot. So we ended up in the Mexican War Streets, and lo and behold, didn't take long before my client found their absolute dream home, and it was everything that they wanted. And she actually loves the location. So for her, the value ended up being tremendously, much greater. What she was getting for her money in the Mexican War Streets ended up being far greater than what she was looking at in Lawrenceville. So now we're going to leave the city of Pittsburgh and talk about another neighborhood that might be a little bit overpriced or have challenges with value. And we're going to be talking about Pine Township up in the North Hills. So Pine Township is located in northern Allegheny County and is a very popular and high demand suburb. It has a great location, access to Interstate 79, which then connects to Parkway North 279. Pine Township is part of the Pine Richland School District, which has a great reputation and also very popular. In Pine Township, you've got median home prices probably just above $700,000. And then the big story that I want to talk about are the taxes. So in Allegheny County, you're going to pay a lot higher taxes than if you go outside of Allegheny County. Now, admittedly, the North Hills area does a nice job to try to keep those taxes as low as they can, but as you'll find out in just a second, they're not nearly as low as what happens just across the county line. So in Pine Township, if you were to buy about a $500,000 home, you'd be looking at taxes roughly around $7,000 a year for all three entities, the county, the municipality of Pine Township, and the school district, Pine Richland. But it's a wonderful area, very family friendly, lots of new developments, newer homes, absolutely gorgeous area. However, let me give you an alternative to Pine Township, and it's their neighbor just north of Pine Township. You leave Allegheny County, go into southern Butler County, and you arrive at Adams Township. So Adams Township is also known as Mars. We don't also always call it Adams Township, but that's a municipality officially. There is a small borough of Mars, but it's part of the Mars School District, which competes very well with Pine Richland. Similar size, they're somewhat rivals, I suppose. But the big story with why you might want to choose Adams Township over Pine Township is that the taxes are going to be dramatically lower. So a $500,000 house in Adams Township, you're going to be looking at taxes about $4,500 a year. So that's a savings pretty significant. About $200 a month or so. So I know everybody's not just looking at the home prices. Adams Township does have a little bit lower of a median price home, probably in the sixes, but very similar housing stock, very similar inventory. Might be slightly more homes available in Adams Township just because there's a little more land available. So you see that competition for resale homes against new construction, which probably is bringing down that median price point a little bit compared to Pine Township. So check out Adams Township. Great alternative to Pine Township. Next, we're going to stick with the suburbs, but we're going to go to the other side and talk about South Fayette Township. Okay, so let's talk about South Fayette Township. Super popular suburb in the Pittsburgh area. It does lie within Allegheny County. It's in the South Hills, just west of I-79. South Fayette has really developed over the last 20 to 30 years. A lot of newer homes there. Very popular with first-time home buyers that can get entry-level homes from new construction from some of our big builders in the area like Ryan or Miranda. South Fayette has a very strong school system. The South Fayette School District, very popular, great reputation. The one challenge that a lot of people face in thinking about a move to South Fayette is that the property taxes are very high in South Fayette. You're looking at close to a 40 millage rate of taxes, which on a $500,000 house is going to put you near $10,000 a year for the county, the township, and the school district. So it's definitely one of the higher taxed areas in the entire Pittsburgh area. In South Fayette, you are going to be about 15 to 20 miles from downtown. So the commute can be a little bit challenging. You're looking at 35 to 45 minutes. So South Fayette, really popular area, definitely worth checking out. But let me offer some alternatives where you're going to find similar homes, similar school districts, but you won't have that high property tax that you'll see in South Fayette. So the first alternative I'll talk about is where I'm walking right now. I'm in Scott Township. Scott Township is close to South Fayette, a little bit further north, a little bit to the east, just to the east of I-79. Scott Township is part of the Chartiers Valley School District. Also has a great reputation, great facilities, great academics. But what you won't have in Chartiers Valley is you won't have the property taxes that you'll see in South Fayette. So on a $500,000 home in Scott Township, for example, you'd be looking at about $1,000 less per year. So not necessarily huge savings. So maybe that might not be worth it to you. But what you will get is a more central location with Scott Township, not that many miles away, but you're kind of tucked in there where you have easy access to the South Hills, things like South Hills Village, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Target, all the big box stores right there in the South Hills. You've also got easy access to Bridgeville. But Scott Township has some kind of a very diverse set of housing options. You will see newer homes and newer developments just like you do in South Fayette, but you also have some older homes, definitely a lot more price ranges you'll see in Scott Township. So might be a great alternative to South Fayette is looking in Scott Township. Another alternative to South Fayette you might want to consider is Robinson Township. So Robinson Township, again, we're going up that 79 corridor. It's going to be west of downtown. Robinson is just slightly north of the Parkway West, and it is the hub of the retail area in the western suburbs, the Robinson area, which it's often called. It's gonna have IKEA, it's gonna have all the big box stores. It's gonna have Robinson Town Center, Robinson Mall. You also see a Chick-fil-A out there owned by my sister-in-law. But Robinson is a great alternative, especially when it comes to those taxes. So you'll find similar priced homes in South Fayette as you will in Robinson, but in Robinson, you're looking at an even lower tax bill. On a $500,000 house, you'd be looking at maybe $7,000 a year, which again is about $3,000 less than South Fayette. It's gonna save you a lot of money. Another great feature of Robinson Township is it's part of the award-winning Montour School District. I'm super high on Montour schools. I know a lot about them, know a lot of the administrators that work there. They have a great curriculum, very hands-on. I know a lot of families that live there are super happy with the education their kids are getting in Montour. So might not have the kind of reputation that you'll see with South Fayette, which deservedly so, but it's not gonna have the taxes. So check out Robinson Township, part of the Montour School District. So I hope this video has been helpful in understanding that there are alternatives to some of the most popular and high demand areas. And again, there's a reason why those places are high demand and popular. People like living there and they're willing to pay that. However, if you're considering a relocation to the Pittsburgh area, just know that you have plenty of alternatives, and I'm here to help. My name is Mark McClinchie, real estate agent with Compass Real Estate. I help people moving to the Pittsburgh area understand their options. I'm gonna sit down with you, figure out your budget, figure out your needs and your wants, and we'll discuss all of the neighborhoods that could be a good fit. And we're especially gonna pay attention to making sure you get the value that you deserve. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.